aim to motivate and inspire viewers to enjoy the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I'm your host. Today is an episode with a twist. Some of you may be aware that this episode is a full week late already. It's a result of me having been away the week before the one just finished with my pal up to the Scottish borders for a short break. I took some footage during that break, filmed a little bit of the environment there. He took a really nice picture of me in my Talvinin sweater, which I've already posted online. I'll show it to you here as well. There it is. Many of you have already seen that photograph. And but before we look at some more Scottish nature, sorry for the sounds in the background, that's just traffic going by. Those were two big motorbikes. Before we get into that, as a little update on my knitting project and on the Layercake linen dress. So let's get into that first, an update on what I've been doing, as well as a maker's highlight called, the business is called Lola Palooza. And I think it's a lovely little business, and I've ordered something from them lately that I'm so excited about. So let's look at that in more detail, and then in the second section, some lovely Scottish landscape. Right, so let's get stuck in. I should have taken this sip first. Bit of a trial this. This is a coffee with a coconut milk alternative, but a barista version. So it's a coconut milk that foams. And I find it's really tasty. It's the one by Linda McCartney. And what I find personally is that I like the taste of the coconut milk, and the foam is indeed lovely. But comparing it to oat milk, the oat milk gives you a slight creaminess that normal milk gives as well, which really counters any bitterness in the coffee. And that's something that I quite like when I'm drinking white coffee. I like how the milk kind of interacts with the coffee. If I want that bitterness, I'll just drink it black. And what happens with this is you get the lovely foam. And of course you associate that foam with the effect that regular milk has on the coffee. And the coconut milk doesn't have quite the same effect as either regular cow milk or oat milk has. So there's a lot more tang and bitterness in the back of your mouth of the coffee when you drink it with this coconut milk. So it may just be a case of trying out some different coffees, but that's my findings so far. Okay, that was a complete sidebar. First of all, I normally don't slurp my coffee. I'm just doing that so that I end up not talking to you with a big coffee foam mustache, because the foam on this milk is amazing. Like I showed you, it's as thick as cream. But also this was a complete sidebar. I hadn't planned to talk about this at all. So let's talk knitting update first. I'll put my wonderful Midwinter Yarns Ochil's bag out of the way. Those bags are big enough for a jumper project like this, guys. Just saying, I love them. Anyway, so this is the next jumper that I'm knitting, and it is called the High Lonesome. It is a another pattern by Boyland Knitworks. My Talvinen was, and this is by the same designer, Caitlin, I think is her name. And the jumper is written so that it can be turned into either a male or female garment. It suits lots of different body shapes, etc. So it's really broad. And what I did was really compromise with the colors. I wanted to use yarns that I had in my stash, and this main color is a yarn that I had 4 hanks of that I bought as part of a kit which I never then knitted a number of years ago. I think it was 2016 at Schillersdale on the Isle of Skye. So I'm using this yarn. It is absolutely lovely. It's so nice to finally use it, but I only had 400 grams. I also needed at least one other color to do the color work. And I had 2 hanks of cephalopod bugger that I had, I think, bought on eBay years ago. Again, hadn't used it yet. I'll show you the ball. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous, rich multicolor yarn with short gradients, short color changes, as you can see. And I love the idea of what you get here with just one row of that color in the main body, and then followed by 2 rounds of another color that I had left over. I had like 2 hanks left over after using this. I'll put the exact name in the down bar, although cephalopod is no longer trading. But if you ever come across any of the bugger yarns, I heartily recommend them. They're lovely. And I had knitted a Grams Revive out of that. I'll show it to you here on the left. And I had that left over, and I thought it would make a nice contrast. It is a very light, slight variegated as well. So it's not a plain color, so you don't get that harsh stripe. And I figured that even if I used both of these hanks of the variegated dark color, I would then have 600 grams, and I figured that still wouldn't be enough for a big men's jumper. This is the size that has a 50-inch bust, which is perfect for my husband. And I've knitted it to the length that he liked. And then when I stopped as you can see, I stopped the stripes. So the stripes are not in the pattern. It just has this color work here at the top, and then the rest is plain. But of course I had to work in my other colors. So what I've done in order to create this balance is 3 rounds of the main color, 1 round of the dark variegated, 2 rounds of the light variegated. So it's 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, etc. I then stopped that because I didn't want to keep that going right to the end. I wanted to kind of counterbalance at the bottom the same kind of color balance that I have here at the top. So I went back to a plain section of the main color, and then what I did for the rib at the bottom, it was suggested in the pattern to do a 2 and 2 rib, and I saw an opportunity there to work in the dark multicolor, bring that back just like it is at the top, but not too dominant. So there is a name for this particular 2 rib. I've forgotten what it's called. I'll put it here in the down bar. But what it boils down to is that the 2 knit stitches are in the one color, and then the 2 purl stitches of the rib are in the other color. So I have the main color in the knit and the complementary color in the purl, and it's just to bring some of this back at the bottom. So that's now finished. I did not do any decreases before I did the rib because I knew that the color work rib would tighten it a little bit already anyway. And that's exactly what happened. Not too much, because he didn't really want that roundness at the bottom. He just wanted it fairly straight, but not gapey. So I've achieved that, and I've now just started knitting the first sleeve. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm on gauge. He's tried it on a couple of times, so he was able to indicate exactly how long he wanted it. It's one of those real advantages of knitting a top-down jumper in one piece. So far so good, and I'm hoping that he is away at the moment, but I can either grab one of his favorite jumpers, or he may be back before I'm at the end of this sleeve. I don't know. He's back until next weekend. So if I'm really zooming ahead with the sleeve during the week, and I hope I will, then I'll just use one of his other garments to measure the necessary sleeve length, and then keep going with the second sleeve. Wouldn't it be cool if he comes back and the whole jumper is finished? I can dream, right? Probably not, but we'll see. We'll see. My knitting time, of course, is kind of going up. He's away. One of the boys is at uni. My daughter's kind of in and out. As the world is opening back up, she'll be able to resume her life a little bit. So I've just got one boy at home who's just had some day surgery and is recovering. So I'm a bit doing a bit of nursing work at the home and giving a bit of TLC, which is just lovely, because in the autumn he'll be off to uni again as well. Right, so now the next bit, the summer dress. And I wrote it in my newsletter already. It was a real process to get this dress finished the way I wanted it. First of all, we loosely based the shape, that's this nice rounded shape, on the mini smocks that we used to make. If I can find a picture of one, I'll put it here. It's literally that smock line with those points down the side, but short, just like the mini tabard. So we took the shape of the mini smock and then used that line here to do a diagonal pocket. Of course it's going to have pockets. All our garments have pockets, if I can help it. I think the mini tabard and the duster are the only exceptions. And that's all for kind of swing sake, and because you wear it over the top of something, don't you? So anyway, I digress yet again. So we had smocked the middle section here, but because of the bouncy nature of our linen, which is all on purpose so that it doesn't crumple like a piece of old paper, and any folds that you and gathers that you get in it just drop back out, that's because of the bounce that's in the thread and the tightness of the weave. So what you get when you really crumple this up and smock it is that it's kind of round and poofy. So we got a round and poofy edge here. Great, not. Looks nice from a distance, but when you're up close you think, is that a maternity garment? It just doesn't work. So I wanted to keep the beautiful lines and the folds that were forming here in front of that pocket, because this dress is actually a full circle. The skirt is a full circle, so the other side goes out just as far, and the way that the edges were here folding and hanging down were just beautiful, so I didn't want to lose that. And I tried initially to do some pleats. Same poofiness started to appear, and then I realized that if I pleated it differently by going with the folds that came naturally, that worked beautifully. It hanging so nicely, so I'm so pleased. But that's one of the things that's held up production and introduction of this dress, but we're finally ready. So here's a bit of a preview. I mean, you can still see the the whole line of pins here. It hasn't even been sewn down yet. I just worked this out just before I went away. Andrea's just caught up with all the production of the other activities that we had this spring. So she will make a sample or two for me, which I can then show you in next week's episode, because with this episode being a week late, I've just sent out a newsletter yesterday. Next Friday is going to be the next episode of the podcast, hot on the heels of this one. I didn't want to drop an episode, and this doesn't have any layer cake in it other than me talking about it now. So next week, I think that's going to be episode 45, there's going to be more information and a proper introduction of the dress, as well as some new colors for our other dress. You know that we do our other dress, this one, in a number of different, like summer weight, mid-weight linen colors, and I've got a couple of new ones. So I'm going to show you those next week as well, and then you'll be able to pre-order those all in time for delivery before the end of June. So that's layer cake for now. That was my knitting for now. I'm also working on a pair of socks, but they weren't worth showing because I haven't worked on them that much. That was the sock blank that I started. So before I show you the Scottish borders, or a bit of the Scottish borders, I have a maker's highlight. Right, you already saw this lying here. What a color. This is such a cool idea, guys. I'm absolutely smitten with it. The website is called Lola Palooza. That's already a super cool name. They do like interior bits and pieces, interior styling and things like that. Have a look at the website, check it out. I'll show you a little picture of it here as well. And then one of their kind of specialties and super cool products are called their Lola's leads. So what this is an extension cable. First of all, it looks great. So it's an extension cable with 2 sockets, and they do them with 2, 4, or 6 sockets at one end, and then they have different lengths. This is a 3-meter lead. I'm always using a lead here at the studio that I'll either pull into this room to wind mini hanks, or pull it in the other room when I'm fiddling with the light for the podcast. So it's always lying around. It is, the one that I'm using is too long. It's got lots and lots of different sockets. I only need 2 really for this particular reason. And because it's always lying around, the idea behind these is that if you have extension cables that you can't hide, then make them stand out by making them pretty. Isn't it cool? This is fabric covered wire, which is really nice as well. It's shiny, it's probably viscose, and they dye it themselves in lots and lots of different colors. And I had been stalking their website because I thought, well, mine has to be pink, doesn't it? I love the idea of this bright pink little snake on the floor here, because the floor is kind of wood colored. It's vinyl, but it's wood colored. So I thought it'd be great as an accent to have lying on the floor. So I'd been stalking the website for a pink lead, and goodness me, whenever I was checking, I could never see a pink lead. So at one point recently, I saw a post on Instagram, and I basically sent a slightly sulky message, DM, saying, or maybe even just a comment, I don't remember, but I sent a message saying, guys, I'm always looking for a pink lead and it never seems to be in stock. Can I pre-order one, or how can I go about it? I immediately got a response, really nice response, saying, actually, I've got a pink one here. I'll send you a picture. Let me know how many sockets you want, and I'll get this organized for you. I mean, how fabulous is that? And within days, there it was. So I heartily recommend them. I think the prices for these leads, considering what they are spot on. Don't be put off by the prices. They're really worth what they are charging. I think it's very fair price. and it's just so cool. Their photography on their website is fantastic, the styling and everything. So have a look at Lola Palooza, and if you can, splurge on one of Lola's leads. It literally brightens up your days. So, so far my little plug. I wasn't asked or sponsored to do this. This is purely my enthusiasm. That's the idea behind the Maker's Highlight, free publicity. So I heartily recommend these, and have a look at the website. And if you buy any, let me know. I'd love to hear what you think of them. So that's it for knitting and layer cake this week. Let's have a look at the footage that I managed to scramble together last week in the Scottish borders. And I will see you again soon. I'll say goodbye now because I won't be doing that at the end of the next section, because that's mostly landscape rather than me. And I'll see you again next week for the next episode with summer dresses.
you.